Our story tonight starts in 1930. Tommy Angelo, a taxi driver, is working his usual night shift. While he's on a smoke break, two mobsters come from around the corner and they're in need of a ride. Tommy assists the mobsters in getting away from their enemies. After losing the heat, Tommy drives the two mobsters to their territory of Little Italy and then to Salieri's bar. They instruct Tommy to wait in the car. One of the mobsters, Sam, comes out. He hands Tommy an envelope. With enough money to fix his car, Tommy goes back to work, presumably in the next few days, initially making the decision to not align himself with criminals. Tommy tries to get back to his normal routine, still making a living by driving people around the city of Lost Heaven. While taking a coffee break, the unsuspecting Tommy gets attacked by rivals of the mobsters he helped recently. The rival goons smash up Tommy's car again, and he is forced to run, coincidentally finding himself at Salieri's bar. Just when the two mobsters, Sam and Paulie, are outside, Sam tries to get the rival goons to back off, and when they refuse, Paulie comes out with a no-joke shotgun. Now, this is one of my favorite scenes of the game, and I'll play that for you guys right now.
Well, this here's the Don's favorite driver. So anything you gotta say to him, you can say to me.
Is that right? Well, I'll tell you something, pal. We ain't leaving empty-handed, that's for sure.
Well, then maybe you ain't leaving at all.
Tommy gets the opportunity to meet the big boss. And yeah, I said big for a reason. I mean, look at this fucking dude. He looks like white fucking Putin up in here. With permission from the Don and a revenge plan figured out, Tommy and his new accomplice Paulie first visit the family's weapons expert, Vinny, as well as the family mechanic, Ralphie. Also, he met Frank, this guy who is kinda the guy who is the accountant slash launders their cash, but I'll get to him later since he's not important right now. Armed with baseball bats and a couple of Molotovs, our duo head to the bar where the thugs who destroyed Tommy's cab usually hang out. Their mission was indeed a success, as they managed to burn their enemies' cars and steal one of them as well. After proving himself to the Don and getting vouched for by Sam and Paulie, Tommy is officially inducted into the Salieri crime family as an associate, and that marks his beginning of his new life as a mobster. One of the first jobs Tommy has from Don Salieri is to go collect protection money with Paulie and Sam. While Tommy is the driver, the other two take care of the pickups. Everything is going well until our crew goes to the motel outside of town. What seems like an ordinary pickup quickly turns into a shit show, as Paulie runs out having a bullet in him and informs Tommy that Sam is inside getting beaten up. Tommy makes his way through the motel, taking out rival gangsters and eventually getting to Sam. After saving Sam, Tommy is forced to chase after the gangster who took their money. Fortunately for Tommy, the rival gangster crashes his car and Tommy is able to retrieve the protection money. Two years after Tommy's initiation into the family, he is asked by the big boss himself to sabotage the car of the driver Salieri's enemy Morello is placing his bets on. With the help from Ralphie, his friend at the racetrack Bobby, and a local mechanic Lucas Bertone, Tommy successfully sabotages the competition's driver. However, things are not as simple because the driver Salieri picked as the favorite got beaten up by Morello's goons, and since Salieri was the guy people went to for gambling advice at the time, his driver needed to win or the family would lose a lot of cash. Tommy races in Salieri's driver's place and wins the race and later drives his best friend Paulie home, who got hammered to say the least during the celebration.
Cow says moo and the chicken says quack. What does the bird say?
Soon after the race, Tommy is asked by family bartender Luigi to walk his daughter Sarah home due to some thugs messing with her. Tommy beats up the thugs and earns Luigi's respect. This also marks the very beginning of Tommy and Sarah's romantic relationship, which will later play a bigger part in the storyline. The Don eventually finds out about what happened and orders Paulie and Tommy to brutally beat up the hoodlums. Paulie and Tommy chase the hoodlums across town before they crash their car. With one of them supposedly already dead, the other one is shot by Paulie. However, the other one who they thought was dead actually made it. Now it's Sam who is supposed to take care of the one who actually pulled through, with Tommy serving as a distraction and Sam going to infiltrate the funeral and kill the hoodlum. They set out on their next task. On the way to the church, Sam asks Tommy for a favor: to not kill a girl the Don instructed to kill, but rather scare her into leaving town and never coming back. After Tommy blows up the hotel as a distraction and fulfills Sam's request to make sure that the girl actually leaves town instead of killing her, he makes his way to the church, where an all-out shooting starts that ends with all of the hoodlums dead and Tommy and Sam barely escaping to their territory. Tommy gets a warning from Frank that he should not flash his money. Frank also tells Tommy the story about how he and Don Salieri actually met back in Sicily. Tommy understands. After dropping Frank off, Frank tells Tommy,
"Give Sarah my best, Tommy."
reminding him that he actually knows that Tommy and Sarah are seeing each other. Frank sends Tommy on a job to help Paulie and Sam pick up some alcohol from their Canadian smugglers. For those of you that don't know, alcohol was completely illegal during this time. After finding out their Canadian suppliers are dead and that they were in fact cops, Tommy, Paulie, and Sam have to fight their way through, and they eventually escape in a truck. With Sam wounded, they take him to the doctor, and Tommy leaves them to go to Sarah's place, who is a little bit upset because of Tommy getting back home so late. Tommy meets Don Salieri in a park, where they discuss Frank. The account books, which Frank was keeping track of, as well as Frank himself, are gone. Salieri actually puts two and two together, and he figures out that Frank is planning to sell them out to Morello, as well as leave town in the process. Tommy makes his way to the airport, and Frank, realizing there is no way out, hands the key to the account books to Tommy. However, Tommy has a last-minute change of heart and decides to let Frank and his family leave town. After quote-unquote killing Frank, Tommy does a job with the Italian safecracker Salvatore. They infiltrate a mansion and find a safe where evidence against the family are being kept. After Salvatore works his magic, the two take the contents of the safe and successfully escape the crime scene. Back at Salieri's warehouse, Paulie talks to the rest of the group about a guy from Kentucky who is interested in being their new supplier of alcohol. With everyone on board, the deal happens at a parking garage, but somehow Morello found out about it and shot the deal up, forcing everyone to yet again get out of there with guns blazing. Tommy and Don Salieri go out for lunch at Pepe's restaurant. Just like everything else, this lunch couldn't go to plan either, since it was yet again ambushed by Morello. Tommy and his boss barely escape, and Don Salieri actually realizes that someone must have told Morello's guys where he was. He realizes it was his driver Carlo, and without hesitation, Tommy and Salieri head to his place. After finally catching up to Carlo, Salieri brutally beats him up, stomping on his head again and again, until it is literally caved in and completely unrecognizable, leaving Carlo's dead body in the street. We pick up with Don Morello and his brother Sergio, who is, by the way, his second in command, and they decide to ramp up their security after hearing about what Salieri did to Carlo. Soon after, Sam and Vinny actually make an attempt at killing Sergio. However, it goes bad since they crash and land in a tree, with Sergio just barely escaping them. Although, our boys don't give up, and this time Tommy tries his luck. Armed with a bomb and a plan from Vinny, he goes to Sergio's house and attaches the bomb to the starter on his car. However, instead of Sergio getting into the car, it's his wife. And well, you can imagine how that went.
Oh, Christ. Hey! Stop!
Tommy meets with Paulie and Sam, and they all go after Sergio together, which leads them to the docks, which are controlled by Sergio. And after fighting his way through dozens of gangsters, Tommy gets to Sergio. Unfortunately, he is out of ammo. While flammable materials and gasoline are all around him, Tommy lights his lighter and the gasoline with it, burning Sergio alive and putting an end to a big chunk of Morello's family's business. The next target is Don Morello himself, who was in hiding for the last few months, and finally word came out that he was returning to Lost Heaven. Our main trio this time is heavily armed with Thompsons, go after Morello, who tries to flee, first in a car and later
In a fucking
After shooting down the plane, our crew makes it to Morello, who is just barely alive and literally gasping for air at this point after the crash. Tommy kills Don Morello, ending the war between the two families as well as the Morello crime family itself. Since Paulie is not bringing in his full amount of money, Tommy tries to cover the difference himself. Salieri warns Tommy to never do that again, in a bit of a threatening tone, before sending Tommy to kill a politician who has been causing problems for the family. Tommy, being an expert marksman, uses a sniper rifle and kills the politician from an old prison guard tower right across from where the politician was holding his speech. Salieri sends our trio to steal a shipment of cigars, impounded by customs, but according to him, the cigars are a cover for a shipment of stolen diamonds. With Sam and Paulie disguised as customs workers and Tommy in the back of the truck, they head to the warehouse where Tommy makes his way around the fence without being noticed, and our crew successfully rides off with the stolen goods. Yeah, not quite. See, back when they loaded up the shipment into the truck, an alarm goes off, forcing our trio to lose the fence, and after a long chase, they finally manage to do so, dropping off the shipment at Salieri's warehouse. And as they're checking for any damage to the merchandise, they realize that the real loot was not diamonds. It was in fact drugs. On their way home, Tommy and Paulie discuss pulling a bank job behind the Don's back as a means to getting out of the mob life. They ultimately decide to go through with the heist, and it's initially a success. The next day, Tommy goes to Paulie's apartment to pick up his part of the money from the bank robbery from the previous day. Right after telling his wife Sarah to pack herself and the kids up, Tommy makes it to Paulie's and finds his best friend in the hallway with 2 bullets in the head. He looks for the money, but he can't find it. As he's frantically looking for the money, he gets a call from Sam, who informs him that Salieri found out about their bank heist. With Tommy being broke and Paulie dead, he asks Sam to meet him at the city gallery and lend him some money to get out of town with his family. At the gallery, the truth is revealed. Basically, Sam told the Don about their bank job, killed Paulie, and took all of the money from the heist for himself. The furious Tommy kills all of the surrounding gangsters before getting his opportunity to deal with his former friend Sam. And I'll play that scene right now.
Nobody's carrying you to the doctor this time, Sam.
You kill me now and the Don, she's never gonna stop looking for you. But you let me live, I'll tell Salieri you're dead. You can disappear, just like Frank. Only you'll be smart enough to stay gone, right?
What happened to him?
He was hiding out in Europe. But the dumb bastard. He started betting at the dog track. Got spotted by a friend of the family. So Salieri, he sent out a crew.
And his family? Christ.
You can't do it, can you? There's always that little voice in the back of your head. Maybe sounds like your baby girl. Or Sarah. Always telling you not to pull that trigger. And you can't make up your mind.
It's getting easier every time you open your fucking mouth.
We sure had some laughs, right? Remember that time? Me, you, and Paulie.
Sometime that same year, While his family is in hiding, Tommy returns to Lost Heaven and meets with Detective Norman, to who Tommy offers a simple deal. He gives up the Don and the entire crime family in exchange for security for his real family, and after telling the entire story to Detective Norman, he offers him the account books that Frank gave him as evidence against Don Salieri. The deal is done, and Tommy spends 8 years in protected custody. "13 years later, in 1951, Tommy walks his daughter down the aisle and watches her get married. At the ceremony, he gives a nice speech about everything that he did, and that everything that he actually did was for the good of his wife and children. We cut back to Tommy's final moments, where he is watering his garden. He is suddenly approached by two men, with one holding a lupara, and announcing,
"Mr. Salieri sends his regards,"
right before shooting Tommy in the chest and driving away. Tommy uses his last moments alive to ensure his family of their safety, concluding the story of this game. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the first non-Kingdom Hearts video on this channel. I hope this was a good enough summary of the story of Mafia 1 overall. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, you are a real MVP. And until the next video or stream, I'll see you later. Bye bye.